Okay, so I just got home from volleyball, but I wanted to talk through what my most recent practice was because I had a vision and it worked out pretty good. I just wasn't able to document a lot of it because I was in the zone. So I decided that when I wanted to do this practice and I was reading about what the gray zone was, I really wanted to try and have there be no distractions because I get distracted pretty easily. So I figured my biggest distraction, because I found myself looking when I had recipes, I would look at the recipe a lot, and I would constantly be going back and back to the recipe, and it actually created a lot of stress because I wanted everything to be perfect. I was like, oh, I gotta have the cashews chopped, I gotta make sure it's cooked all the way, and then it just created a lot of stress and it was a big distraction. So I decided to take away the recipe and just use what I've learned to make my own simple dinner meal, um, because I wanted to see if I could do it without a recipe. So I used some of the methods for cooking that I learned through Indian cuisine that I've never used before. So I started off with the basics that I liked from last time, and I pounded out my chicken and I cut up my onion, which you saw. And I also cut up a carrot and I cut up some cashews because those were my three favorite things that I had in my last meal that I made. And then I sliced up my chicken and I dredged it. Um, and when I dredged it, I used a little bit of flour. I didn't measure anything. That was one of my biggest things. I wanted to just experiment and see. And I wanted to be more spicy. So I know from experience that ginger, yellow curry, I used ginger, yellow curry powder, and I added a little bit more cumin. And then yellow curry powder. And then, so ginger, yellow curry powder. And then I added a little bit of chili powder, roasted chili powder, to give it the spice, which I didn't add as much before. So I dredged it, I mixed that all together with the flour and dredged my chicken in it, and then I used the method that I learned when I was cooking my chicken, my other meals, of frying it pretty quick, frying it for like a minute on each side, and then taking it off the heat, and sauteing my onions in the flavored oil that is left over from the chicken and putting in more of the spices I wanted, like ginger. I really actually do like ginger, even though it can be overpowering. Um, and I added more chili powders to give it more spice and the rest of the curry powder that I had made with my last meal. And then as I sauteed my onions, I added in the carrots. And what I learned from last time is that you want to soften up the carrots a little bit and then use the juice that comes out of it to keep your onions from burning. So I did that beforehand. And then I added the onions, I added the carrots, and then I poured in all of my rice. And they actually have a very unique way of cooking rice. They pour it into the pan dry, they put in some water, and then they just cover it, which it's not how I would do it. I would cook the rice separately, and then I would add all of the cooked stuff to the already cooked rice. So I tried doing it uh, in a way that fit with Indian cuisine, and it went really well actually. And then when I felt it was done, I took off the lid and I was going to add my chicken, and I wanted to just put a little bit more chili powder in there, but my biggest mistake that I made was all of the chili powder came out of my jar. And so I scooped it up with what I could with the spoon and just said it's going to be spicy this time, and it was really good. And I added cashews as it was cooling down. So all in all, I was very in the zone because there was no distractions, no recipe to follow. I felt the ideas coming to me pretty quickly, and I was able to I very quickly got my recipe done, or my meal done, a lot quicker than all of my other meals I've done because I was very in the zone and I didn't have that recipe hanging over my head that I had to follow. And it was a really great experience.